Hi, I'm making this video on Friday the 17th of May 2019, and I've been really wanting to make a video for ages, and due to the things that have been going on in my life, I just haven't been able to create the time or the space or the energy to really just be in the moment to do it. Maybe it's the same for you. It's a really intense time at the moment. We're just coming up to the full moon in Scorpio on Saturday, the 18th of May, which is a blue moon, and it's a flower moon, and it's a beautiful energy with Venus in Taurus as well. And that will be coming in tomorrow, which is red planetary serpent energy. So we'll be seeing a manifestation of relationship, basically, of Kundalini rising, our energy flowing, and where we are in relationship, which of course first and foremost always is with ourselves. This is so key now. So I'll come back to that in a moment about relationship. But today, as I'm making this video, we are here and we are on Yellow Solar Seed Day. So yellow solar seed, solar meaning the number 9. So every time it's a solar, a number 9 in the 13-day process, we're going through a gateway. So off the past 8 days, if you want to use that microcosm, what have we been learning in the Yellow Warrior Wavespell? The Yellow Warrior Wavespell is a mastery code. It's the 16th Mayan sign, and its planet is Saturn. And this twins with the other Mayan sign of Blue Night, whose energy it was yesterday, and the previous Wavespell, of course. So Blue Night being the conscious dreamer. And my perspective on this 260-day Wavespell process is all about us becoming the conscious dreamer. In other words, to start to make whatever is unconscious for us conscious about our patterns and our process. And this is so key to Saturn in the chart. Saturn is the taskmaster, is the maturation process, is a process that we keep revisiting every 30 years in our own personal chart. So we can see what progress we're making. And as we go around the labyrinth another time, we can see what's coming up to become clear for us so that we can become clear. Today, the moon is waxing in Scorpio in the UK. And when I first looked at this energy, it was 9 AM this morning. And I want to read you a little story that goes with that. This is with Inside Degrees, and I love this website. Aquafire.net is how you can find it on the internet. And if you know your own personal chart with all the degrees in it, then you can find your own little story for each of your planets. And then, if you choose, you can start to really work with understanding your story, your cosmology, and transforming what is no longer serving you so you can go deeper into really being proactive with this process. So the degree at 9 AM in the UK, in Glastonbury, is Scorpio 6, a dancer with 8 arms. Each and every dimension carries with it a path to follow, a way to become fulfilled within that channel. It is human nature to restrict yourself to one dimension or perhaps two at a time, but nature is no longer enough within the evolving matrix in this planet. Here is the departure point, the mutational edge, the willingness and capacity to develop simultaneously in all 8 primary dimensions. Bearing this seed is the most sacred and high level of tasks. You are being ushered into limitless vistas within. All the new capacities are arising at the same time from every side, and all can be creatively combined into an entirely new way of being. But it takes a life force that is disciplined, harnessed, mastered. Even in the initial stages, this calls for absolute dedication. If you become overly impressed by yourself, the juices are cut off, everything freezes. But as you learn to cut through all images whatsoever, the fount again supplies boundless vital spark to orchestrate the impossible. Evolutionary breakthrough arises through the physical organism of those individuals who have prepared accordingly. Here is the greatest display of inward ability that can be imagined. May the highest God speed you along your finest quest for perfect embodiment. Wow. So, how is your embodiment doing? Taurus Sun, this is what it's all about. And the Taurus Scorpio axis comes from very early development stages with our power struggles in our caretaking model. So parental, school, siblings, all of that in the mix. And I offer you that once you really start to understand your star codes and your cosmology, it can give you so much insight into whatever's happening for you right here, right now as a human being. And it can give you guidance, it can show you what your chosen life path is before you came in as a human being. So with a framework of understanding that we are a spiritual being who is coming in to a specific human ancestral coding pattern, and we chose that to really work with our higher self, our spiritual self, and to evolve the human being race at this time. This time is a very challenging time. It's the end of times. All the prophecies that are in different religions, in different disciplines, speak of this time as the end of times. And again, depending on your perspective, you can see that certainly big things are happening on the planet, and Scorpio is all about death and rebirth. And so again, depending what level of the game that you're playing at, as a human being, doing your inner work, the great work, the alchemical work of working with ego maturation and healing that old ancestral story that we all carry, then you can see lots of different perspectives around how this allows new beginnings now. And trust that the more that you really start to work with this is true for me, in my understanding, is that I see things in a different way than when I first started doing this work with emotional healing around 2007, and the astrology, cosmology, the Mayan calendar 8 years ago. So my perspective has changed massively over that period of time, because I've been constantly working with my understanding of myself and my patterning and my family patterning, and learning lots of different tools to transform myself and work with other people doing the same process, which has been amazing. And I highly recommend that you follow your heart and your intuition, and you really start to get yourself in a framework and a process that does this for you. If you choose to be proactive with whatever feels like a problem now and find the solution to that through getting yourself out of the way, your ego out of the way, your old story, your fixed story, your mind frame that may be past its sell-by date now because there's new code coming in, then you can start to really see the amazing holograph process that I believe that we are in and am experiencing. It takes a lot for the mind to get used to, because the mind has been conditioned a certain way, and especially a lot of ways around how to fit in with a societal code that, again, is changing now because it's time for a change. So back to the Wavespell. When we get to a day 9 of Yellow Warrior, then we go through a gateway. So day 9 of any 13-day process is a gateway point, as I said earlier. Now, what happens then is you can cross-reference it, and my website, flowwithjo.com, is not completely up to date on this. As I say, I've been through quite an intense journey at the moment myself, and time has not permitted me to do everything that I want to do, because I don't exist as an abstract. I have to live my life and work and do all the things that everybody else has to do. So I've had a very limited time to update the spiral, but it's on my to-do list, so I shall be doing it shortly. Okay, so I've checked the dates though. When we were in the yellow seed wave spell, which is this one here, which is in the blue castle, and as you can see, it's got 10 black codes in that 13-day process. Each one of those are a human evolution portal. What does that mean? It means that on those days, whenever they happen throughout all of time, we are experiencing huge learning on the planet for human beings. Okay, so when we're in that 13-day process, it's intense and there's lots of new learning coming in. And I think, again, that's a really good way to look at what is happening at the moment, is new learning. Okay, and then really focus on what you feel around this new learning, what your resistance is, what triggers you have in your emotional mind. I use emotional freedom technique to work with this process on a deeper level. So it's the amygdala that is revealing triggers from past experiences, and the mind often wants to say, this is wrong, this experience, instead of what does this experience allow to happen, is a far more opening question. If you learn tools of how to work with this, such as emotional freedom technique for yourself, then your perspective will start to change and open up as you release the fear. Okay, so this spiral, if you time travel back to the spring equinox, it began on the 18th of March, and the spring equinox was actually on the 20th of March. So you will see that whatever was happening for you around that time of new learning, new beginnings, because it's in Aries time, Aries sun time, then whatever you were going through at that time that was triggering you, that was bringing you learning, this is really key now. You're going through a gateway now of revelation time, hopefully, where you can say, oh, okay, so what has shifted for me around that initiation time, and how am I coming into more acceptance? Because remember, when we're not in acceptance of what is, we're in resistance to it. And whilst we're in resistance, there is an opposition going on. So ideally, we need to come into acceptance. This isn't about right or wrong. This is just about acceptance of what is happening at this moment in time. And the minute that we go into that, we change the energy. And instead of fighting things, instead of resisting new learning, we come into a very different space where we're opening. And this is essential now, this process, to allow ourselves to come into new ways of being. Otherwise, we keep on doing the same old same. And the energy is so strong now that the same old same is not going to work, is not going to happen any longer. And the more, again, that you understand about cosmology, about astrology, evolution, it can help you to see the bigger picture and realise that there is a time for things to happen on the time scale. So just like the seasons with the pagan wheel, all that means is in touch with the earth, in touch with nature. The more that we come into sync with how things are in our locality, in nature, instead of believing that we have something that is wiser than this amazing cosmic consciousness, divinity, whatever you want to call it, you know, that mankind can actually, the mindset thinks it can override this consciousness, this amazing being that has created everything on planet Earth. You know, crazy to me. So we're going back into the garden, we're going back into nature, we're going back into understanding, having gone through this whole 5,500 years of what has ended up being the extreme patriarchy now. And this often lack of compassion, not caring, and repression of the sacred feminine side of human beings in order to control to a very unhealthy degree. So this is shifting now, and the more that we focus on ourselves and shift ourselves and understand our patterns and our codes, and, you know, oh, we're still doing that thing that's unhealthy, we're still doing that process that we know isn't good for us. Why are we doing it? Why? Often because it's how we feel safe. Again, yellow seed is all about coping mechanisms that we've learned in order not to feel fully, in order to try and be safe, in order to try and survive. But when we stay in survival mode, we do not thrive. We just stay in survival mode all the time, and it is absolutely exhausting for the human being. And there is no real reason to do it apart from some people want to suppress things such as free energy, natural health, natural food. All of these distortions and untruths have created a relationship for human beings with other human beings and the planet that brings so many issues around trust and intimacy. What is the truth? This is what Scorpio moon is all about, that's coming up. How can we have intimacy with somebody if we can't speak the truth? If we're constantly trying to manage them, you know, in whatever environment that is. We have to come into truth, and we have to be brave enough and have the courage to do that for ourselves and let go of the fear of whatever that is, because it is only our own fear, always. And it's a really powerful time to really come into that now and start learning new ways that are free from fear. So remembering that each one of us has a code, that we're in a journey in this lifetime, and we've got challenges to meet. So very much like a PlayStation game, and I don't mean in any way any disrespect to anybody by saying that. I don't mean to minimize anything that is going on for anybody right now, because I know some people are going through very, very challenging times indeed. And what I offer you is, if you start to get into a framework that empowers you and you see it as a learning school that we're in, then you can really start to work with these challenges. That's the key thing, because what's the alternative? Do you want to be in a belief system where you feel disempowered, where you feel everybody else has got the power you haven't? Then, you know, that's a very different way of being. How I choose to live and share the tools that I know with clients and, you know, in workshops, is very much, this is new learning. I don't have all the answers. It isn't a quick fix, and it's still very, very challenging to be going through this journey right now because of everything that has happened in the human being timeline. There's no getting around that. And to take the practical steps now and actually walk the talk is key. This is what I often harp on about in my videos, and will continue to harp on about, because in my world, in my experience, I know it to be true. And so there's no sidestepping these challenges, because we are here to expand and grow as human beings and to create solutions through these challenges for the generations ahead, and primarily for ourselves first. That's the most important starting point, because that's how we have come in as an individual human being to do our own process. So the other thing that I want to talk to you about is in the 13 moon calendar. Today we are in the spectral moon, which is the 11th moon. There are 13 moons, and the first one began on the 26th of July last year. That's when we initiated. Each moon has an energy of 28 days, which is the same process as the 13-day Wavespell process. Again, you can check out more info on my blog, flowwithjo.com. Gives you more info on that. And so today we're on day 16. And so over the last 16 days, we've been going through what we need to let go of. And that's what this period is all about. What do we need to let go of where we're repressing our sacred feminine, where we're repressing our authenticity and being a beacon of light? And in terms of the 20-day process, so we're in this column here, and this is the 11th column going down, and it takes us from red spectral dragon, which again is what we're needing to let go of, right the way down here to yellow crystal sun. So how much light are we holding? Light in the terms of we've let go of our story, our ancestral wounding, so that we are clear and free of it, because we've got the learning, we've got the t-shirt, we understand it intellectually, and we're embodying it as well, because we've cleared the heart wound, we've cleared the emotion, we've become a mature adult human being, and we are living our truth. We are walking the talk. And this is what this 260-day process is all about. It's about embodiment. It's about becoming a clear sign. And this is the prophecy. This is the living legacy that certain human beings decide to do the process now. Not think it, not talk about it, do it and live it. And so again, this is all about coming into a place of vulnerability for ourselves and looking at all of our stuff, all of our life story, so that we have no fear of it. We don't judge ourselves anymore. We don't regret things anymore, because we go over the old stories, and as they come up every day, which they do, perfectly aligned with the cosmic code, we really start to work with them and just forgive ourselves and forgive others. Again, this isn't about condoning any sort of abusive behaviour on our part or on other people. This is about accepting what's happened in our own personal life and making peace with it. And when we do that, this is when the magic happens, and it's amazing. So, have I got anything else to say at that point? I'm just looking at my list. Yes, tomorrow, Scorpio full moon is a most wonderful, fecund time of, in terms of planting and moon planting, potency, energy of the most powerful time of the moon to sow seeds around what we want to create. And let's be honest, what we really want to create deep down is loving relationship with other beings, sentient beings, human beings. We want to feel loved, we want to feel respected, we want to be seen by other people. And most people can't see us because they're still stuck in their story. We can't see other people because we are still stuck in the story. And the more that we understand about this process and accept that this is the process, then the more that we can really start to appreciate and have compassion for where people are and where we are, and really start to create solutions to this too. Because whilst we're believing that we are something that we are not, whilst our ego is still running the show from a place of childlike insecurity, childlike coping mechanisms, then all that we can create is limited to that game plan, to that code. And once we start to go through this maturation process on a personal level, then everything changes, because it is all about our own personal story. That's it. That's the cards that we've got in this lifetime. They are by no means limiting, But those are the parameters that we've got to work with. Just like we've got a human being body that does have limitations, and if we do things, you know, that don't fit the manual, how many times have you used something, some sort of equipment, and you haven't read the manual first, you haven't read the instructions, and you've done something with disastrous consequences. So it's just the same for a human being, isn't it? You know, if you think about it, how many times have we really hurt ourselves or ignored, you know, warnings where we've had warnings in our body and our mind wants to go beyond that? And, you know, what for? Are we not enough as we are? Are we not enough to be the miracle that we really are without having to go the extra mile? Where's that extra mile taken us to on the planet, with the bigger machines and the faster travel and the, you know, that's it, isn't it? So the Yellow Warrior Wavespell really is about coming into surrender to the spiritual path, surrender to going around the labyrinth again and seeing what is seeking new learning, new insights, new perspective. Because every time you go around, when you've cleared that inner space, you see things differently. And it's such a place of grace. We live in such a beautiful world, and there are so many beautiful beings in it. Why do we want to be in some sort of drama? Why do we want to be separated from other people? Why do we want to struggle or fear other races or other ways of being when it's so magical? There's so much potentiality for living in a Garden of Eden, which is where we really are. If you'd like to know more about your code, please do get in touch. If you're ready to learn new ways of doing the process, again, please get in touch with me. And I hope you have an amazing full moon in Scorpio at 27 degrees. So I'm just going to read that to finish. So it's around 11 at night on Saturday night. 3 blue robin eggs, holding inside you a complete future vision, preserving and guarding a limitless awareness of what can be and of what shall be. You feel so pervasively the impact of what you carry inside that each piece of it now becomes supercharged with meaning and archetypal power beyond how it might seem to anybody else. Being in the preliminary stages of something so vast and staggering that even those stages feel momentous beyond conception, just about bowled over by future destiny. The personal self of now is cast into shadow, seeming trivial, a throwaway, but so transported by prenatal resolves to go all the way this time that any sacrifice or difficulty is chalked up to necessary stages of rough process. And the inner mind holds its lodestar in view and simply cooks inside till it's time to boil over. So that's what we've got in store on Saturday. And just to say that we've only got a few more days left. So 1, 2, 3, 4 more days before we go into the green castle of the heart, and we begin a new scroll, the last scroll, which is Red Moon. And so again, reconnecting with the 26th of July 28-day process of red magnetic moon. We'll see just how far we come and how authentic we are, and how much we're embodying our spirit self. Lots of love to you all. See you soon.